There's an interesting story in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, about a blind man named Bartimaeus. In that story, there's a phrase that says, "And Jesus stood still." There are three powers interacting upon one another that are at work in our lives. First of all, there's the power without, or the power of the world. Secondly, there's the power within, which is the power of self. And thirdly, there's the power of God. Let's look first at the power without, or the power of the world. Bartimaeus, being a blind man, was a beggar of necessity. He had to beg. The world has power. You see, it will sometimes show pity and give to the needy, but their giving makes a person dependent. The world also has limitations. What Bartimaeus needed, what he needed most, the world could not give it to him. The world also has moods which become a hindrance. The scripture says, the story about Bartimaeus says they rebuked Bartimaeus for reaching out to the very one who could actually meet his need. Now let's look at the power within, or the power of self. Bartimaeus wanted to be self-dependent, not dependent upon the world. When the crowd tried to stop Bartimaeus from crying out to Jesus, he didn't listen. He had a single-mindedness. There was a goal he wanted to secure, and there was no sacrifice too great for him. Next, there's the power of God. Self-assertion works sometimes for the world, but in the presence of Jesus, who's greater than the world, self-assertion is silenced. The world's method will not work with Jesus. Jesus was sensible above the noise of the crowd. He heard the cry of Bartimaeus. So Jesus made a decision. He could either ignore the cry and continue on his way, or he could do something for Bartimaeus. What did he do? He stood still and called for him. Jesus used judgment or wisdom. Before he did anything, he asked the man, "What do you want me to do for you?" When Bartimaeus answered that he wanted to receive his sight, Jesus then showed the capability of the power of God. He said, "Your faith has made you whole." Who is the person Jesus will stand still for? It's the one who recognizes that the world will hinder your successful audience with Jesus. Jesus will stand still for the one who realizes that self must rise above the world's view of things, and who realizes that Jesus is the answer to their need. That's the person who Jesus will stand still for and demonstrate the power of God. The story of Bartimaeus shows us that the power of the world and the power of self fall short in meeting your needs. And it shows us that if we will, with single-mindedness of reaching a goal, no matter the cost, will cry out to Jesus, He will stand still, hear our request, and meet our needs. Be blessed and keep close to Jesus.